The phone buzzed on the dinner table for the third time in 10 minutes, and I watched my husband Marcus grab it with the speed of someone catching a falling glass. His eyes scanned the screen quickly, and then he turned the phone face down on the table, right next to his plate of spaghetti. He looked up at me with a smile that seemed forced, like he was trying too hard to act normal. Something was definitely wrong, and I could feel it in my bones. "Who keeps texting you?" I asked, trying to keep my voice casual and light. I did not want to sound like a jealous wife, even though my heart was beating fast in my chest. Marcus had been acting strange for the past few weeks, and I could not ignore it anymore. He was always on his phone, always smiling at the screen, always hiding what he was looking at whenever I walked into the room. These were all signs that something bad was happening. "Oh, it is just work stuff," Marcus said, waving his hand like it was nothing important. He picked up his fork and started twirling spaghetti around it, not looking at me anymore. "You know how Dave is. He always sends messages at the worst times, even during dinner. I should probably tell him to stop. But you know how it is with work. They think they own you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week?" He laughed, but it sounded fake and hollow. I did not believe him. Not even for 1 second. Dave was Marcus's boss, and yes, Dave did send messages sometimes after work hours. But Dave never sent 3 messages in 10 minutes. Dave never made Marcus smile the way he had been smiling at his phone lately. Dave definitely never made Marcus suddenly start caring about his appearance, buying new clothes, and wearing cologne every single day. Something else was going on, and I was determined to find out what it was. "Can I see your phone?" I asked directly, looking straight into his eyes. I wanted to see how he would react to this simple question. If he had nothing to hide, he would just hand it over without thinking twice about it. But if he was hiding something, he would make excuses. I held my breath and waited for his answer, feeling my stomach twist into knots. This moment felt important, like it would change everything between us depending on what happened next. Marcus stopped eating and stared at me with wide eyes, like I had just asked him to do something crazy. "What? Why would you want to see my phone?" he asked, his voice going up a little bit. He put his fork down and crossed his arms over his chest, suddenly looking defensive. "Lauren, that is weird. We do not do that. We trust each other, remember? That is what makes our marriage strong and different from other couples who fight all the time." "If we trust each other, then showing me your phone should not be a problem," I said, keeping my voice calm even though I was feeling angry inside. I could feel the frustration building up in my chest like a balloon that was about to burst. "I'm just asking to look at it for a second. If there is nothing to hide, then what is the big deal? Just hand it over, and this whole conversation will be over in 2 minutes. Marcus shook his head and grabbed his phone, holding it close to his chest like it was something precious and valuable. "No, Lauren. This is crazy. You are acting paranoid and jealous, and I do not like it. I'm not going to let you go through my phone like some kind of detective or police officer. That is not how healthy relationships work. We need to trust each other, and right now, you are not trusting me at all." His face was getting red, and I could tell he was getting angry too. That was when I knew for sure. My husband was hiding something from me, something big and terrible. An innocent person would have just shown me the phone to prove there was nothing wrong. But Marcus was refusing, which meant he definitely had secrets. My mind immediately went to the most obvious answer, the one that made my heart feel like it was breaking into a million pieces. He was cheating on me. My husband was having an affair with another woman. And I was pretty sure I knew exactly who that woman was. Her name was Vanessa, and she had moved into the house next door about 2 months ago. She was a single mom with a cute little daughter named Sophie, who was about 6 years old. Vanessa was beautiful, with long blonde hair, bright blue eyes, and a perfect figure that she showed off in tight jeans and yoga pants. From the moment she moved in, I could see Marcus looking at her in a way that made me uncomfortable. Vanessa had arrived on a sunny Saturday morning in September with a big moving truck and lots of boxes. I'd been working in our garden when I saw her struggling to carry a heavy box by herself. Being a good neighbor, I had walked over to introduce myself and offer help. She had been so friendly and sweet, thanking me with a big smile and telling me all about how she had just gotten divorced and was starting a new life with her daughter. At the time, I had felt sorry for her. "I really appreciate having such nice neighbors," Vanessa had said to me that day, pushing her blonde hair behind her ear. "Sophie and I are going to love living here. It seems like such a quiet and friendly neighborhood. Everyone has been so welcoming. And your house is beautiful, by the way. I love the blue shutters and the flower garden. You must spend a lot of time taking care of it all. I hope someday my yard will look as nice as yours." She had seemed so genuine and kind. I had invited her over for coffee that first week, wanting to make her feel welcome in the neighborhood. Vanessa had come over with little Sophie, and we had sat in my kitchen talking for over an hour. She told me about her divorce, about how her ex-husband had cheated on her with a coworker, and how she had decided to move to a new town for a fresh start. I had felt so bad for her, listening to her story and thinking about how brave she was to start over as a single mom. "Men can be such liars," Vanessa had said, drinking her coffee and looking sad. "You think you know someone, you think you can trust them, and then boom, you find out they have been lying to your face for months or even years. It destroys you. It makes you question everything you thought you knew about your life and your relationship." I am still recovering from it, to be honest. The trust issues are the worst part. I remember nodding along, agreeing with her, never imagining that she would become the other woman in my own marriage. After that coffee meeting, Marcus had offered to help Vanessa with some repairs around her house. At first, I had thought it was sweet and neighborly. Our fence connected to her yard, and Marcus had mentioned that he would help her fix a broken gate. Then he offered to help her set up her television and internet. Then he started going over there to mow her lawn, because she did not have a lawnmower yet. Each time, he would be gone for longer and longer periods. "I am just being a good neighbor," Marcus would say whenever I asked him about it. "She is all alone with a little kid, and she needs help with things around the house. It is the right thing to do, Lauren. I thought you would be proud of me for helping someone in need. Plus, she is our neighbor. We have to live next to her, so we might as well be friendly and helpful. It is just the decent thing to do." But then I started noticing other things that made me suspicious. Marcus started taking showers as soon as he came home from work, which he had never done before. He started buying new shirts and pants, saying his old clothes were getting worn out. He started using hair gel and cologne every single morning, even on weekends when we were just staying home. These were not the actions of a man who was just being a helpful neighbor. These were the actions of a man who was trying to impress someone. One evening, I had been looking out the kitchen window while washing dishes, and I saw Marcus and Vanessa standing in her backyard talking and laughing together. They were standing close to each other, closer than just friendly neighbors would stand. Vanessa had touched his arm while she laughed at something he said, and Marcus had this huge smile on his face that I had not seen in a long time. My stomach had dropped, and I had felt sick watching them together like that. That night, I had tried to talk to Marcus about it. "You seem to be spending a lot of time with Vanessa," I had said carefully, trying not to sound accusatory. I did not want to start a fight, but I needed to know what was going on. "I'm starting to feel a little bit uncomfortable with how much time you are spending over there. Maybe you could slow down a bit with the helping and let her figure some things out on her own." Marcus had gotten defensive immediately, his face turning red with anger. "Are you serious right now? You are jealous of me helping our neighbor? That is ridiculous, Lauren. I am just being a decent human being. She is a single mom who just went through a divorce. She needs help, and I am providing it. There is nothing more to it than that. I cannot believe you are making this into something dirty and wrong when I am just trying to be a good person." But I knew what I had seen. I knew the way he looked at her. I knew the way he smiled when her name came up in conversation. I knew the way he suddenly always had an excuse to go next door. And now he was refusing to show me his phone, which meant he was definitely hiding text messages or phone calls with her. All the evidence was pointing to one terrible conclusion that I did not want to believe but could not deny anymore. After our fight at dinner, Marcus had grabbed his phone and left the table, saying he was not hungry anymore. He had gone into our bedroom and closed the door, leaving me sitting alone with 2 plates of cold spaghetti. I had sat there for a long time, feeling tears roll down my cheeks, wondering how my marriage had fallen apart so quickly. We had been together for 8 years, married for 5. We had always been happy. Or at least, I thought we were happy. I thought about our wedding day, how Marcus had cried when he saw me walking down the aisle in my white dress. I thought about our honeymoon in Hawaii, how we had spent every moment together, laughing and exploring the island. I thought about all the quiet mornings drinking coffee together, all the movie nights on the couch, all the little moments that had made up our life together. Had it all been a lie? Had he been unhappy this whole time and I just never noticed? That night I could not sleep. I laid in bed next to Marcus, listening to him breathe, and wondered if he was dreaming about her. Was he thinking about Vanessa while he lay next to me? Did he wish he was in her bed instead of ours? The thoughts were torturing me, going round and round in my head like a terrible merry-go-round that would not stop. I wanted to shake him awake and demand the truth, but I was too scared of what he might say. The next morning, Marcus left for work early without saying goodbye. He just grabbed his phone, his keys, and his coffee mug and walked out the door like I was invisible. I watched him from the bedroom window, and I saw him pause at the end of our driveway to look at Vanessa's house. She was outside getting her mail, wearing a tight pink tank top and black leggings. Marcus waved at her and she waved back with a big smile. Then he got in his car and drove away. I decided right then and there that I needed to find proof. If Marcus would not show me his phone, then I would have to find evidence another way. I could not keep living like this, wondering and worrying every single day. I needed to know the truth, even if the truth was going to hurt me badly. I had to protect myself and my marriage, or I had to prepare myself for a divorce. Either way, I needed concrete proof of what was really happening. I called my best friend Jessica and told her everything that had been going on. Jessica had been my friend since college, and she knew Marcus almost as well as I did. She had been at our wedding, and she had always said we were the perfect couple. But when I told her about my suspicions, she did not seem surprised at all. "I hate to say this, Lauren," Jessica said over the phone, "but I noticed something weird at the barbecue last month, too." "What do you mean?" "What did you notice?" I asked, my heart starting to beat faster. We had hosted a neighborhood barbecue 4 weeks ago, and Vanessa had come with little Sophie. I had been busy in the kitchen most of the time, preparing food and making sure everyone had drinks. I had not been paying attention to what Marcus was doing outside. Now I was realizing that maybe I should have been watching him more carefully. Jessica sighed before answering. "I saw Marcus and Vanessa talking by the fence for like 30 minutes straight. They were standing really close together, and Marcus was laughing at everything she said. At one point, I swear I saw him touch her lower back when he was reaching past her for something. It looked really intimate, like something a boyfriend would do, not just a neighbor. I almost said something to you that day, but I did not want to plant seeds of doubt if it was nothing." My blood went cold. "Why did you not tell me this sooner?" I asked, feeling betrayed by my best friend. If she had seen something suspicious, she should have told me immediately. I could have confronted Marcus weeks ago instead of spending all this time wondering and worrying. I could have saved myself from all these sleepless nights and all this anxiety that was eating me up inside. Friends were supposed to tell each other the truth, even when it was hard and painful. "I am so sorry, Lauren. I really am," Jessica said, and I could hear the guilt in her voice. "I did not want to cause problems in your marriage if I was wrong about what I saw. You know how sometimes things can look bad but actually be completely innocent? I did not want to be the person who accused your husband of cheating based on just one small moment at a party. But now that you are telling me all this other stuff, I think my instincts were right. I think something is definitely going on between them." After I hung up with Jessica, I felt even worse than before. Now it was not just my imagination or my paranoia. Someone else had seen Marcus acting inappropriately with Vanessa. That made it real. That made it something I could not ignore or explain away. I sat on the couch with my coffee getting cold in my hands, trying to figure out what to do next. Should I confront Marcus again? Should I confront Vanessa directly? Should I hire a private investigator to follow them around? Then I remembered something. Marcus had an old laptop that he kept in his home office for paying bills and doing taxes. He usually left it at home during the day when he went to work. Maybe, just maybe, his email or social media accounts were logged in on that laptop. Maybe I could find some evidence there without having to get past the password on his phone. It felt wrong to snoop through his private things. But he had left me no choice by refusing to be honest with me. I walked into the home office, which was really just a small spare bedroom with a desk and some bookshelves. The laptop was sitting on the desk, closed and probably asleep. I opened it up and the screen came to life, showing the desktop background, which was a photo of me and Marcus from our vacation to the mountains last year. We looked so happy in that photo, smiling with a beautiful sunset behind us. Looking at it now just made me feel sad and nostalgic for better times. I clicked on the internet browser icon and it opened up to Marcus's email account. He was still logged in, which meant I could read all his messages. My hands were shaking as I started scrolling through his inbox, looking for anything suspicious. Most of it was work emails, spam messages, and newsletters. But then I saw something that made my breath catch in my throat. There was an email from Vanessa, sent just yesterday evening while we were having dinner. The subject line said, "Thank you for everything. I clicked on the email with trembling fingers, my heart pounding so hard I thought it might burst out of my chest. The email was short but definitely inappropriate for a married man to be receiving from a female neighbor. It said, "Marcus, I just want to thank you again for all your help these past few weeks. You have made moving here so much easier for me and Sophie. I do not know what I would do without you. You are so kind and generous, and I really appreciate everything you have done for us. Looking forward to seeing you tomorrow. XOXO, Vanessa, XOXO." She had signed the email with hugs and kisses. Who does that? Who sends hugs and kisses to a married man who is just being a helpful neighbor? This was definitely crossing a line, and it proved that something inappropriate was happening between them. My suspicions were correct. Marcus and Vanessa were having an affair, or at least they were heading in that direction very quickly. I felt sick to my stomach, like I might throw up right there in the home office. I kept scrolling through the emails, looking for more evidence. There were several more emails from Vanessa, all of them too friendly and familiar for my comfort. In one email, she thanked him for fixing her leaky faucet and said he had magic hands. In another email, she invited him to have lunch with her and Sophie, saying they made too much food and did not want it to go to waste. Every email ended with XOXO, or a smiley face, or some other overly affectionate sign-off. I printed out all the emails between Marcus and Vanessa, wanting to have physical evidence that I could show him when I confronted him. The printer in the office spit out page after page of their messages, and seeing them all printed out made it feel even more real and more terrible. This was not just my imagination or my insecurity. This was actual proof that my husband had been having an inappropriate relationship with our neighbor, maybe for weeks now, right under my nose the whole time. After printing the emails, I decided I needed to see what was happening with my own eyes. I could not just sit at home and wait for Marcus to come clean about his affair, because clearly he had no intention of telling me the truth. He was going to keep lying and hiding and sneaking around until I caught him red-handed. So I made a plan. Tomorrow was Saturday, and Marcus had mentioned that he was going to help Vanessa hang some pictures on her walls. I would follow him and see what really happened. That night at dinner, Marcus tried to act normal, asking me about my day and telling me boring stories about his coworkers. I played along, pretending everything was fine, even though inside I was dying. I wanted to throw the printed emails in his face and scream at him for betraying me, but I held back. I needed more proof. I needed to catch them together, actually doing something wrong, so that Marcus could not deny it or make excuses. I needed to be absolutely sure before I blew up my entire marriage. So, I'm going to help Vanessa hang some pictures tomorrow morning, Marcus said casually while we were eating chicken and rice. He did not even look guilty or nervous. He just said it like it was the most normal thing in the world, like he was going to the grocery store or getting a haircut. She bought some nice artwork for her living room, but does not have the right tools to hang them properly. Should only take an hour or so, and then I will be back home. Okay, I said, forcing myself to smile at him even though I wanted to cry. That is nice of you to help her out. I wondered if he could hear the sarcasm in my voice, but if he did not show it. He just nodded and continued eating his dinner, completely clueless that I had already found the emails and was planning to spy on him tomorrow. In that moment, I realized I did not even recognize the man sitting across from me anymore. Where was my honest, loyal husband? The next morning, I woke up early and got dressed in dark jeans and a black sweater, like I was some kind of spy going on a secret mission. Marcus was still sleeping, so I went downstairs and made coffee, trying to act normal even though my stomach was in knots. When Marcus finally came downstairs, he was already dressed and ready to go next door. He grabbed a quick cup of coffee and a banana, then kissed me on the cheek like everything was perfectly fine between us. "I will be back in an hour," he said, heading toward the door. I watched him walk across our lawn and knock on Vanessa's front door. She opened it wearing a tight white t-shirt and short denim shorts, even though it was only 50 degrees outside and way too cold for shorts. She gave Marcus a huge smile and hugged him right there in her doorway, and I felt my anger boiling up inside me like hot lava. How dare she touch my husband like that? How dare he let her? I waited exactly 5 minutes after Marcus went inside Vanessa's house, and then I quietly left my house through the back door. I walked around the block so that no one would see me, and then I came up to Vanessa's house from the other side. Her living room window faced the side yard, and there were bushes there that I could hide behind. I felt ridiculous, like some kind of crazy stalker wife, but I needed to know the truth. I needed to see with my own eyes what was really happening between my husband and our neighbor. I crouched down behind the bushes, and peeked through the window. From where I was hiding, I had a perfect view of Vanessa's living room. Marcus and Vanessa were standing together looking at a painting that was leaning against the wall. They were talking and laughing, standing close together just like I had seen them do before. Then Vanessa said something and touched Marcus's arm, letting her hand linger there for way too long. Marcus did not pull away. He just kept smiling at her, enjoying her attention. My heart was breaking into pieces watching them together. This was really happening. My husband was having an affair with the single mom next door, just like I had suspected. All those times he said he was just being helpful were actually times he was flirting with another woman, building a relationship with her, betraying me and our marriage vows. I felt tears starting to roll down my cheeks, but I forced myself to keep watching. I needed to see everything so that I would know exactly what I was dealing with. Then something happened that I did not expect. Little Sophie came running into the living room, followed by another little girl I had never seen before. The two girls were laughing and playing, and Sophie ran up to Marcus and hugged his legs. "Mr. Marcus, you are here! Can you help me and Lily build our fort?" she asked him excitedly. Marcus bent down to Sophie's level and smiled at her. "Sure, kiddo. Let me help your mom with these pictures first, and then we can build the best fort ever." "Deal." Sophie ran off with her friend, and Marcus stood back up. Vanessa was looking at him with this strange expression on her face, something between sadness and happiness. "You are so good with kids," she said softly. "Sophie really loves you. She has not had a positive male role model in her life since her dad left. You have no idea how much your kindness means to both of us. Having you as a neighbor has been such a blessing for us during this difficult transition period." I watched as Marcus picked up a hammer and a level, preparing to hang the picture. "Sophie is a great kid," he said, "and you are doing an amazing job raising her on your own. It cannot be easy, but you are really strong, Vanessa. I admire that about you. Not everyone could handle divorce and moving and starting over with such grace and positivity. You should be proud of yourself for how well you are, managing everything with work and parenting, and getting settled in a new place." They continued talking while Marcus measured the wall and marked where the picture should go. Their conversation was friendly, but not overly flirtatious. There were no secret touches or longing looks like I had expected to see. Marcus was just being helpful and kind, exactly like he had said. But what about those emails with the XOXO signatures? What about all the time he was spending over here? What about him refusing to show me his phone? Nothing was making sense anymore, and I felt confused and stupid hiding in the bushes. After hanging 2 pictures, Marcus helped Sophie and her friend build a blanket fort in the living room. I watched him laugh and play with the little girls, acting silly and making them giggle. This was the Marcus I knew and loved, the kind and patient man who wanted kids of our own someday. But then why was he being so secretive? Why would he not show me his phone? There had to be something else going on that I was not seeing or understanding fully. I decided I needed to hear what they were saying more clearly. I carefully moved closer to the window, trying to stay hidden behind the bushes while getting close enough to hear their conversation. My knee bumped against a flower pot and it made a small noise. I froze, terrified that they had heard me and would discover me spying on them like some kind of crazy person. But they did not seem to notice anything. Marcus was still playing with the girls, and Vanessa was in the kitchen area that I could barely see from my angle, doing something I could not quite make out. "Marcus, can I talk to you about something serious?" Vanessa called out from the kitchen. Her voice sounded nervous and uncertain, and immediately I was on high alert. This was it. This was the moment when she was going to confess her feelings for him, or try to kiss him, or do something that would prove my suspicions were correct. I leaned in closer, my heart pounding in my ears so loudly I was afraid I might miss what she was about to say to my husband. Marcus left the girls playing in their fort and walked over to where Vanessa was standing in the kitchen. I could not see them very well from where I was hiding, but I could hear their voices more clearly now. "What is up?" Marcus asked casually. "Is everything okay? You sound worried about something." There was a long pause, and I held my breath waiting to hear what Vanessa would say next. This was the moment of truth that I had been dreading, but also desperately needing to happen. "I need to tell you something, and I hope it does not make things weird between us," Vanessa said slowly. "You have been so helpful and kind to me and Sophie since we moved here, and I really value our friendship. But I have noticed that your wife Lauren seems uncomfortable with the amount of time you spend over here helping me. I saw the way she looked at us at that barbecue last month, and I could tell she was not happy about us talking and laughing together. I do not want to cause any problems in your marriage. I felt my face get hot with embarrassment. She had noticed me being jealous. She knew I was suspicious of them. I wanted to disappear into the bushes and never come out. But I forced myself to keep listening because I needed to hear Marcus's response. What would he say about me and my suspicions? Would he admit that I was right to be worried? Would he confess feelings for Vanessa that he had been hiding from me all this time? My entire future depended on what happened in the next few minutes. Yeah, Lauren has been a bit worried, Marcus admitted with a sigh. She thinks there is something going on between us, something more than just neighbors helping each other out. I tried to explain that I am just being helpful, but she does not believe me. Last night she even asked to see my phone, and I refused because it felt like she was accusing me of cheating. I got defensive and angry, and now things are really tense at home. I do not know how to fix it or make her understand that there is nothing romantic happening here. Vanessa was quiet for a moment, and I could hear her moving around in the kitchen. Maybe you should show her your phone, she finally said. If you have nothing to hide, then showing her would prove that her worries are unfounded. I understand why you feel like it is a privacy issue, but from her perspective, your refusal looks really suspicious. If my husband had refused to show me his phone, I would have assumed the worst too, especially after what I went through with my ex-husband cheating on me. Trust is so fragile and so important. It is the principle of the thing, Marcus said, and I could hear frustration in his voice. If I show her my phone just because she demands it, then I am saying it is okay for her to not trust me. I am saying that she can accuse me of anything, and I will just have to prove my innocence like I am on trial or something. That is not how marriage should work. We should trust each other without needing proof and evidence, and constant checking up on each other like we are in some kind of police investigation. I understand that. I really do, Vanessa said gently. But maybe this is not about the principle. Maybe this is about your wife feeling scared and insecure because your behavior has changed. You said yourself that you have been spending a lot of time over here helping me. From her point of view, her husband is suddenly spending hours at another woman's house, a single woman who is attractive and going through a divorce. Can you really blame her for being worried? I would be worried too if I were in her position. There was another long silence, and I wondered what Marcus was thinking. Was he finally realizing that he had been insensitive to my feelings? Was he understanding that his actions had been hurtful and suspicious, even if his intentions were innocent? I wanted to burst through the door and join their conversation, but I stayed hidden in the bushes, listening and learning and trying to understand what was really happening between them and in my marriage. Maybe I'd been wrong about everything, but I still needed answers. You are probably right, Marcus finally said. I've been so focused on feeling offended and defensive that I have not really thought about how my actions look from Lauren's perspective. I've been spending a lot of time over here, and I've been hiding my phone because there is something on it that I did not want her to see. But it is not what she thinks it is. It is not another woman or cheating or anything like that. It is something else entirely, something I was trying to keep as a surprise, and now it has blown up into this huge mess. Wait, what? My mind was racing trying to understand what Marcus had just said. He was hiding something on his phone, but it was not about cheating. What else could it possibly be that he would be so secretive about? I leaned even closer to the window, desperate to hear more. Vanessa must have been confused too because she asked the exact question I was thinking. If you are not cheating, then what are you hiding on your phone that you do not want Lauren to see? Maybe you should just tell me, and I can help you figure out how to fix this. Marcus let out a long breath, and I could tell he was debating whether to tell Vanessa his secret. Okay, I will tell you, but you have to promise not to say anything to Lauren. I have been planning a surprise for our wedding anniversary next month. I have been texting with a travel agent about booking a trip to Paris, which is where Lauren has always wanted to go, but we have never been able to afford it. I finally saved up enough money, and I wanted to surprise her with the trip as an anniversary gift. My hand flew to my mouth to stop myself from gasping out loud. Paris? Marcus was planning a trip to Paris for me. I felt like the worst wife in the entire world. While I had been suspecting him of having an affair, he had actually been planning a romantic surprise trip for our anniversary. All those text messages I had seen him hiding were with a travel agent, not with Vanessa. All those secretive phone calls were about booking flights and hotels, not about having an affair. I had gotten everything completely wrong, and I felt absolutely terrible about it. Also, Marcus continued, and I could hear embarrassment in his voice. I have been texting with a jewelry designer about having a custom necklace made for Lauren. Something special with both of our birthstones and our wedding date engraved on it. That is another reason I did not want to show her my phone. All the surprise would have been ruined. And now I have probably ruined our marriage instead by being stubborn and refusing to just explain what I was doing. I made everything worse by trying to keep a good secret. Vanessa laughed softly. Marcus, you are such a good husband, and Lauren is lucky to have you. But you need to go home right now and tell her all of this. Forget about the surprise. Forget about hanging the rest of my pictures. Your marriage is more important than any surprise gift. Go home and show her your phone and explain everything. She needs to know that you are not cheating on her, that you love her, and that all of this has been a big misunderstanding caused by you trying to be romantic and thoughtful. You are right, Marcus said. I need to go fix this right now before it gets any worse. I am sorry for bringing all my marital drama to your house. You have enough to deal with without listening to my problems. He paused and then added, and Vanessa, I think maybe I should stop coming over here so much. Not because I do not want to help you, but because it is causing problems with Lauren, and my marriage has to come first. I hope you understand that. Maybe we can all hang out together sometime, you and Sophie and me and Lauren, so she can see that we are just friends. I completely understand, Vanessa said warmly. Your wife should always come first. That is how marriage is supposed to work, and I would love to hang out with both of you together sometime. Lauren seems really nice, and I would like to get to know her better. I think we could actually be friends, if given the chance. Plus, it would probably help her feel more comfortable if she knew me better and could see that I am not trying to steal her husband. No woman wants to feel threatened in her own marriage and her own home. I heard footsteps heading toward the front door, and I realized Marcus was leaving. I needed to get out of these bushes and back home before he saw me spying on him like some kind of crazy stalker. I quickly but quietly moved away from the window and hurried back around the block the same way I had come. My mind was spinning with everything I had just heard. Marcus was not cheating. He was planning a romantic surprise. I had been completely wrong about everything, and I had almost destroyed my marriage because of my suspicions and insecurities and lack of trust. By the time I got back to our house, I was completely out of breath from running. I rushed inside through the back door and tried to make it look like I had been home the whole time. I grabbed a book from the living room and sat down on the couch, pretending to read, even though my hands were shaking so badly I could barely hold the book still. A few minutes later, I heard the front door open and Marcus came in, looking stressed and worried. He saw me sitting on the couch and walked over with determination in his eyes. Lauren, we need to talk, he said firmly. I know you think I am cheating on you with Vanessa, but I am not. I have been hiding something from you, but it is not what you think. I need you to listen to me and let me explain everything before you say anything or get angry or start accusing me of things that are not true. Can you do that for me? Can you just listen to what I have to say with an open mind and an open heart? I nodded, putting down the book and trying to look surprised by this conversation, even though I already knew everything he was about to tell me. I felt guilty for spying on him, but I also felt relieved that my worst fears were not true. My husband was not having an affair. He loved me. He was planning romantic surprises for me. I had been wrong about everything, and now I just wanted to hear him explain it all, in his own words, so that we could move past this terrible situation and fix our marriage before it was too late. Marcus sat down next to me on the couch and pulled out his phone. He unlocked it and handed it to me, something he had refused to do just yesterday. Here, he said, look through everything. Read all my messages, look at all my calls, check my emails. I should have just shown you this yesterday, instead of being stubborn about privacy and principles. I should have understood why you were worried, instead of getting defensive and making everything worse. I am sorry for that. I am truly sorry for making you feel like you could not trust me. I took the phone from him, feeling tears starting to form in my eyes. I scrolled through his messages, and sure enough, there were dozens of texts with someone named Patricia, who turned out to be the travel agent he had been working with to plan our Paris trip. There were messages about flight times, hotel options, romantic restaurants, and sightseeing tours. There were also messages with someone named David, who was apparently the jewelry designer making my custom necklace. Every single suspicious text message had a completely innocent explanation that had nothing to do with cheating or affairs or betrayal. I have been planning a surprise trip to Paris for our anniversary, Marcus explained, his voice soft and apologetic. I know you have always wanted to go there, ever since you were a little girl dreaming about seeing the Eiffel Tower and walking along the Seine River and eating croissants in little cafes. I've been saving money for 2 years, putting aside a little bit from each paycheck without telling you, so that I could finally take you on your dream vacation. I wanted it to be perfect and special and completely surprising, which is why I was being so secretive with my phone. I could not hold back my tears anymore. They just started flowing down my cheeks as I realized how badly I had misjudged my husband and how close I had come to ruining everything between us. Marcus, I am so sorry, I said, my voice breaking. I thought you were having an affair with Vanessa. I thought all the time you were spending over there and all the secrecy with your phone meant you were cheating on me. I feel like such a terrible wife for not trusting you and for jumping to the worst possible conclusion instead of just talking to you about my concerns. Marcus pulled me into his arms and held me tight while I cried against his chest. I'm sorry too, he said softly into my hair. I should have realized that my behavior was making you suspicious and uncomfortable. I was so focused on keeping the surprise that I did not think about how my actions looked from your perspective. I should have been more sensitive to your feelings instead of just getting angry and defensive when you asked to see my phone. This is my fault as much as yours. Maybe even more, because I was the one acting secretively in the first place. We sat there on the couch holding each other for a long time, both of us apologizing and both of us forgiving each other for the misunderstandings and hurt feelings. It felt good to be close to him again without the suspicion and anger and distance that had been building between us for weeks. I realized how much I had missed feeling connected to my husband, how much damage my jealousy and insecurity had done to our relationship, and how important it was to communicate openly and honestly instead of making assumptions and jumping to conclusions that were completely wrong. What about all those emails from Vanessa with the XOXO signatures? I asked, pulling back to look at his face. I needed to understand everything, needed all the pieces to fit together so that I could let go of my suspicions completely. I found your old laptop in the office and read your email messages with her. They seemed really inappropriate for a married man to be receiving from a female neighbor. She was calling you kind and generous and signing off with hugs and kisses. That is not normal, friendly neighbor behavior. Marcus looked confused for a second, and then understanding dawned on his face. Oh, those emails. Yeah, I can see how those would look bad if you were already suspicious of us. But Vanessa is just really friendly and affectionate in general. That is just her personality. She is from Texas, where everyone is super warm and huggy, and they call everyone honey and sweetie and sign off with XOXO. It does not mean anything romantic at all. She sends emails like that to everyone, including the elderly woman who lives on the other side of her and the mail carrier who delivers her packages. I felt stupid for not considering that possibility. Of course, different people have different communication styles. Just because Vanessa was warm and affectionate in her emails did not automatically mean she was trying to seduce my husband. I'd been so focused on finding evidence to support my theory that Marcus was cheating that I had interpreted everything in the worst possible way instead of giving both of them the benefit of the doubt. My insecurity and jealousy had clouded my judgment and almost destroyed my marriage for absolutely no good reason at all. I also need to tell you something, I admitted, feeling ashamed. I followed you to Vanessa's house this morning. I hid in the bushes outside her living room window and spied on you while you were hanging pictures and playing with Sophie and her friend. I heard your whole conversation with Vanessa about the Paris trip and the necklace and everything. That is how I already knew about the surprise before you came home to tell me. I'm so sorry for not trusting you and for spying on you like some kind of crazy, jealous person. Marcus looked shocked for a moment, and then he started laughing. It was not a mean laugh or an angry laugh, but a genuine laugh of surprise and disbelief. You were hiding in Vanessa's bushes spying on me? He asked, shaking his head with amusement. Lauren, that is insane. You could have just talked to me about your concerns instead of conducting secret surveillance operations like you were a private detective or something. But I guess I understand why you felt like you had to do that, since I would not show you my phone or explain what I was doing. We really made a mess of things, did we not? We really did, I agreed, laughing a little bit myself now that the worst of the crisis had passed. I feel so foolish for thinking you would ever cheat on me. You are the most honest and loyal person I know. I should have trusted you in our marriage instead of letting my insecurity and imagination run wild. I saw Vanessa being friendly with you and immediately jumped to the conclusion that she was trying to steal you away from me, when really she was just being herself, and you were just being a helpful neighbor. I feel terrible about the whole thing. Marcus took my hand and squeezed it gently. We both made mistakes here. I was too secretive and stubborn, and you were too suspicious and jealous. But the important thing is that we are talking about it now and being honest with each other about our feelings and our mistakes. That is what marriage is supposed to be about, working through problems together instead of letting them build up until they explode into something much worse. I love you, Lauren. I have always loved you, and I will never cheat on you. You are the only woman I want to be with for the rest of my life. I love you too, I said, fresh tears streaming down my face, but happy tears this time instead of sad ones. I am so sorry for doubting you and for almost ruining the beautiful surprise you were planning for our anniversary. You are such a wonderful husband, and I am lucky to have you. I promise I will trust you more from now on and communicate with you when I am feeling worried or insecure instead of just assuming the worst and spying on you from the bushes like some kind of ridiculous sitcom character. We both laughed at that image, and it felt good to laugh together again after weeks of tension and suspicion. Marcus pulled me close and kissed me, a real kiss full of love and forgiveness and relief that we had survived this crisis without destroying our marriage. I kissed him back, feeling grateful that I'd been wrong about the affair and that my husband was exactly the good man I had always believed him to be, just with some bad timing and poor communication skills when it came to keeping romantic surprises secret from his wife. So, about that Paris trip, Marcus said after we finished kissing. I guess it is not a surprise anymore since you overheard me telling Vanessa about it, but I still want to take you there for our anniversary. I have already booked the flights and the hotel, and I have a whole itinerary planned with all the things you have always wanted to see and do. We are going to spend a week in Paris, just the two of us, eating amazing food and seeing beautiful art and being romantic and remembering why we fell in love in the first place. That sounds absolutely perfect, I said, feeling excitement bubble up inside me. Paris! I was finally going to Paris with the man I loved. Even though the surprise was ruined, it did not make the gift any less special or meaningful. Marcus had spent 2 years saving money to make my dream come true, planning every detail to make sure it would be perfect. That kind of thoughtfulness and love was exactly why I had married him in the first place, and exactly why I should have trusted him, instead of doubting him and making myself miserable with false suspicions. And the necklace should be ready in about 2 weeks, Marcus continued. David is a really talented jewelry designer, and he is creating something really special for you. It has both of our birthstones, sapphire for you and emerald for me, arranged in a pattern that represents our wedding date. It is going to be beautiful, and I cannot wait to see you wearing it. Every time you put it on, you will remember how much I love you and how committed I am to our marriage and our future together. That is what I want you to think about, not all this drama and suspicion. It sounds beautiful, I said, touched by how much thought and planning Marcus had put into these gifts. He was not just buying random presents off the shelf. He was creating meaningful, personalized gifts that showed how well he knew me and how much he cared about making me happy. I felt ashamed all over again for doubting him and for not appreciating what a good husband I had. So many women would be grateful to have a partner who was this thoughtful and romantic, and here I had been accusing him of cheating based on nothing but circumstantial evidence and my own insecurities. We spent the rest of the morning talking about everything that had happened, clearing the air completely and making sure there were no more misunderstandings or secrets between us. Marcus explained that he had been spending so much time helping Vanessa because he felt sorry for her as a single mom trying to manage everything on her own. He had not been attracted to her romantically at all. He had just been being a kind neighbor and a good person, helping someone who was struggling during a difficult transition in her life. That was all it had ever been. Nothing more and nothing less. I explained to Marcus that my jealousy had been building for weeks, fed by small things that seemed suspicious when added together. The way Vanessa looked at him, the way he seemed happier and more energetic when he was helping her, the way he suddenly cared more about his appearance and was buying new clothes and wearing cologne every day. All of these things had seemed like classic signs of an affair, But really, they had innocent explanations. He was happier because he felt good about helping someone in need. He was buying new clothes and wearing cologne because he wanted to look good for our anniversary trip and all the fancy restaurants we would be visiting in Paris. I think we should both go over and talk to Vanessa together, I suggested. I need to apologize to her for being so cold and suspicious these past few weeks. She probably thinks I hate her, and that is not fair to her at all. She has done nothing wrong except be friendly and accept help from my husband. I want to start fresh with her and maybe become actual friends instead of just neighbors who wave at each other awkwardly. What do you think about that idea? Would that be weird or uncomfortable for you after everything that has happened? I think that is a great idea, Marcus said, smiling at me. Vanessa is really nice, and I think you two would actually get along really well if you gave her a chance. She is funny and smart and interesting to talk to. Plus, little Sophie is adorable, and we could babysit for her sometime if Vanessa needs a break or wants to go out for an evening. It would be good practice for us for when we have kids of our own someday. And it would help you see that there really is nothing romantic between Vanessa and me, just friendly neighbor stuff. So that afternoon, Marcus and I walked next door, together, holding hands like a united team instead of two people who had been on the verge of destroying their marriage just a few hours earlier. I rang Vanessa's doorbell, feeling nervous but determined to make things right. When she opened the door, she looked surprised to see both of us standing there together. Little Sophie peeked out from behind her mother's legs, looking at us with big, curious eyes. The other little girl from earlier was gone, probably picked up by her parents while Marcus and I were talking through our problems. "Hi," I said, feeling awkward but pushing through it. "I was wondering if we could talk for a few minutes. I owe you an apology and I want to clear the air about some things. Do you have time to chat? Or is this a bad moment?" I tried to sound friendly and casual, but my voice came out a little shaky because I was nervous about this conversation. Apologizing is hard, especially when you have been wrong about something big and have treated someone badly because of your own insecurities and false assumptions. I hoped Vanessa would be understanding and forgiving. "Of course, come in," Vanessa said, opening the door wider and gesturing for us to enter. "Sophie, go play in your room for a little while. The grown-ups need to talk." Sophie ran off happily to her room, and Vanessa led us to her living room where the pictures Marcus had hung earlier were now on the walls looking perfect. We all sat down, Marcus and I on the couch and Vanessa in an armchair across from us. There was an awkward silence for a moment while I tried to figure out how to start this difficult conversation and admit all my mistakes. "I owe you a big apology," I finally said, looking directly at Vanessa. "I have been jealous and suspicious of you for the past few weeks because Marcus has been spending so much time over here helping you. I thought there was something romantic going on between the two of you, and I was wrong about that. I was cold to you at the neighborhood barbecue, and I have been avoiding you whenever I saw you outside. That was unfair and unkind, and I am really sorry. You did not deserve to be treated that way when you were just being a friendly neighbor and accepting help during a difficult time." Vanessa's expression softened, and she gave me a sympathetic smile. "I understand completely, Lauren. I really do. If I saw my husband spending lots of time at another woman's house, I would probably be worried too, especially after what I went through with my ex-husband cheating on me. Trust issues are real, and they are hard to deal with. You do not need to apologize for feeling worried or protective of your marriage. Those are normal feelings. I just wish you had talked to me directly instead of suffering in silence and imagining the worst possible scenarios. I would have reassured you that nothing inappropriate was happening. That is what I should have done," I agreed. "I should have just come over and talked to you woman to woman instead of spying and snooping and making myself crazy with suspicions. I let my imagination run wild, and I almost destroyed my marriage because of it. Marcus was actually planning a surprise anniversary trip to Paris and having a custom necklace made for me, and I thought he was cheating. I feel so stupid now looking back on it all. I misinterpreted everything and saw threats where there were none. It was like I was looking for reasons to be jealous and suspicious. Well, now everything is out in the open, and you know the truth," Vanessa said kindly. "Marcus is a good guy, and he loves you very much. That much is obvious to anyone who sees you two together or hears him talk about you. When he was over here helping me, he talked about you constantly. telling me stories about how you met and funny things you have done together and all the reasons he loves you. I actually felt a little jealous listening to him, wishing I had a partner who loved me the way Marcus clearly loves you. You are very lucky to have him, and he is very lucky to have you. I felt tears threatening again, but I blinked them back. Thank you for being so understanding and kind about this whole mess. I would like us to be actual friends if you are open to that. Maybe we could have coffee together sometime, just the two of us, and get to know each other better without all the drama and suspicion. I think we could actually be good friends if we gave it a real chance. And Marcus and I would love to babysit Sophie sometime if you ever need a break or want to go out for an evening. We both love kids, and Sophie seems like a really sweet little girl. I would love that, Vanessa said, her face lighting up with genuine happiness. I have been so focused on just surviving and managing everything as a single mom that I have not really made any friends since moving here. Coffee with another woman who understands the challenges of relationships and life would be really nice. And having trusted babysitters nearby would be amazing. Sophie would love spending time with you guys. She already adores Marcus from all the times he has been over here helping with repairs and playing with her. Now she can get to know you too and see what a wonderful couple you are together. The three of us talked for another hour, drinking coffee that Vanessa made and eating cookies that Sophie brought out from the kitchen to share with us. The awkwardness gradually faded away, replaced by genuine conversation and laughter. I learned that Vanessa was a graphic designer who worked from home, which explained why she was always around when Marcus came over to help her. I learned that she loved mystery novels and hiking and was terrible at cooking anything more complicated than spaghetti, which made me laugh because I loved cooking and could teach her some easy recipes. By the end of the visit, I felt silly for ever being jealous of her. When Marcus and I finally left Vanessa's house and walked back to our own home, I felt lighter than I had in weeks. The heavy weight of suspicion and jealousy that had been pressing down on my chest was gone, replaced by relief and happiness and gratitude. My marriage was safe. My husband loved me. And I had potentially made a new friend in Vanessa instead of making an enemy out of an innocent woman who had done nothing wrong except move in next door and accept help from a kind neighbor who happened to be married to an insecure woman who jumped to terrible conclusions. That went well, Marcus said, squeezing my hand as we walked up our driveway. I am proud of you for apologizing to Vanessa and for being willing to start over with her as friends. That took courage and maturity. Not everyone would be able to admit they were wrong and make amends like that. You are pretty amazing, you know that? Even when you are hiding in bushes, spying on me like a crazy person, you are still pretty amazing. He grinned at me, and I laughed and playfully swatted his arm for teasing me about my ridiculous bush hiding adventure. That evening, Marcus and I had a quiet dinner at home, just the two of us, talking and laughing and reconnecting after the difficult weeks we had been through. We made a pact to communicate better in the future, to talk about our feelings and concerns openly instead of keeping secrets or making assumptions. Marcus promised to be less secretive even when planning surprises, maybe giving me little hints so I would not worry about what he was hiding. I promised to trust him more and to talk to him directly when I was feeling insecure instead of letting my imagination create elaborate scenarios of betrayal that did not exist in reality. I have been thinking, Marcus said as we were cleaning up after dinner, maybe we should go to couples counseling, just a few sessions to work on our communication skills and make sure we are on the same page about things. This whole situation showed me that we have some areas where we need improvement. We almost let a misunderstanding destroy what we have, and I do not ever want to come that close again. What do you think? Would you be open to seeing a therapist with me to strengthen our marriage and learn better ways to handle conflicts and concerns? I think that is a really good idea, I said, feeling grateful that Marcus was taking our relationship so seriously and wanted to invest in making it stronger. We love each other, but love alone is not always enough. We need good communication skills and tools for handling problems when they come up. I would definitely be willing to go to counseling with you. In fact, I think it shows how committed you are to our marriage that you would suggest it. A lot of men would be resistant to therapy, but you are willing to do whatever it takes to make sure we stay strong together. We found a couples therapist the following week and started attending sessions together every Tuesday evening. It was hard work, facing our issues honestly and learning new ways to communicate with each other. The therapist helped us understand that my jealousy stemmed from some deep insecurity about not being good enough, while Marcus's secrecy came from a desire to be the perfect husband who never disappointed me. We both had things to work on individually as well as together. The therapy sessions were not always easy or comfortable, but they were valuable and necessary for healing our relationship and preventing future problems from getting out of control like this one had. Over the next few weeks, things slowly returned to normal between Marcus and me, but it was a better normal than before. We were more intentional about spending quality time together, having regular date nights, and actually talking about our feelings instead of just discussing everyday logistics like bills and groceries and whose turn it was to clean the bathroom. We laughed more, touched more, appreciated each other more. The crisis had been painful, but it had also been a wake-up call that we needed to not take our marriage for granted and needed to actively work on keeping our relationship strong and healthy. I also became genuine friends with Vanessa, just like I had hoped. We started having coffee together every Friday morning, and I discovered that she was funny and smart and easy to talk to. We had a lot in common, from our taste in books to our frustrations with trying to maintain work-life balance. She told me more about her divorce and how her ex-husband had destroyed her ability to trust people, which made me understand why she had been so understanding about my jealousy. She knew what it felt like to have your trust betrayed, and she never wanted to be the cause of that pain for another woman. Marcus, Vanessa, and I also started hanging out together sometimes as a trio, which helped normalize the friendship and made me completely comfortable with their relationship. We would have barbecues in one of our backyards, with little Sophie running around playing while the three adults talked and laughed together. Sometimes we would watch movies together on weekend evenings when Sophie was at her dad's house for visitation. The three of us became a little friend group, and it was nice to have neighbors who felt like actual friends instead of just people who lived nearby and waved politely when taking out the trash. Our anniversary arrived in November, and Marcus and I flew to Paris just like he had planned. The trip was absolutely magical, everything I had ever dreamed it would be, and more. We spent our days exploring the city, visiting the Eiffel Tower and the Louvre and Notre Dame Cathedral. We ate croissants and baguettes and fancy French pastries in little cafes. We strolled along the Seine River, holding hands and kissing like newlyweds. We took hundreds of photos to remember every moment, and every night, we talked about how grateful we were that we had survived our crisis and had made it to this beautiful city together, stronger than ever before. On our actual anniversary night, Marcus took me to an elegant restaurant overlooking the city lights of Paris. After we finished our meal, he pulled out a small velvet box from his jacket pocket. Inside was the custom necklace he had been having made, and it was absolutely stunning. The sapphire and emerald stones sparkled in the candlelight, arranged in a beautiful pattern with our wedding date engraved on the back of the pendant. Tears streamed down my face as Marcus fastened the necklace around my neck, telling me again how much he loved me and how he would spend the rest of his life proving that love to me every single day. "I am so sorry for ever doubting you," I whispered, touching the necklace at my throat. "I will never make that mistake again. You are the best husband any woman could ask for, and I promise to trust you and cherish you and appreciate you for the rest of our lives together. Thank you for planning this incredible trip and for forgiving me for being suspicious and jealous. Thank you for loving me even when I was acting crazy and hiding in Vanessa's bushes like some kind of ridiculous detective. Thank you for everything." Marcus took my hands across the table and looked into my eyes with so much love that it made my heart ache in the best possible way. We both made mistakes, but we learned from them. That is what matters. We are stronger now because we went through that difficult time and came out the other side together. I love you, Lauren. I have loved you since the day I met you in that college library when you were studying for your history exam, and I pretended to need help finding a book just so I could talk to you. I will love you until the day I die, and nothing and no one will ever change that. You are my person, my partner, my best friend, and my forever love. We flew home from Paris a week later, exhausted but happy and more connected than we had been in years. The crisis that had almost destroyed our marriage had actually made it stronger in the end. though I would never recommend that method of strengthening a relationship to anyone else. It would have been much easier and less painful to just communicate openly from the beginning instead of letting secrets and suspicions build up into something dangerous. But we had survived it, learned from it, and come out better on the other side. That was what mattered most in the end. Looking back on everything that had happened, I learned some valuable lessons about trust, communication, and the dangers of letting jealousy and insecurity control your thoughts and actions. I learned that jumping to conclusions without evidence is a terrible idea that can destroy something beautiful and precious. I learned that secrets, even well-intentioned ones, can cause serious damage in a relationship. And most importantly, I learned that talking openly and honestly with your partner, even when it is uncomfortable or scary, is always better than suffering in silence or conducting spy operations from your neighbor's bushes like some kind of amateur detective in a bad television show. Marcus and I continue to work on our marriage every single day, attending our therapy sessions and practicing the communication skills we have learned. We make time for each other despite busy work schedules and life obligations. We tell each other, "I love you," multiple times a day and never take each other for granted. We have date nights at least twice a month where we dress up and go out somewhere special. We support each other's dreams and goals and individual needs while also maintaining our strong connection as a couple. Our marriage is not perfect, because no marriage ever is, but it is healthy and happy and full of love and commitment. Vanessa remains one of my closest friends, and I am grateful every day that I did not let my jealousy drive a permanent wedge between us. She has since started dating a nice man she met through a dating app, and I am happy for her as she builds a new life for herself and Sophie. The three of us still have our regular coffee dates and barbecues, and now Vanessa's boyfriend James has joined our little friend group too. It is nice to see Vanessa happy and loved, and it reinforces my belief that she never had any romantic interest in Marcus and was simply being herself, friendly and warm and appreciative of help during a difficult transition period in her life. The moral of my story, if there is one, is this: trust your partner unless they give you a real reason not to. Do not create problems where none exist. Talk openly about your feelings and concerns instead of making assumptions and letting your imagination run wild with worst-case scenarios. And maybe, just maybe, if you ever find yourself hiding in your neighbor's bushes spying on your husband, take that as a sign that you need to stop and have an honest conversation instead of continuing down the path of suspicious surveillance. Your marriage, your sanity, and your neighbor's flower pots will thank you for it.